the Chinese authorities on Sunday violently cracked down a peaceful protest by the thousands of depositors in the Henan province, where this issue is happening. People and actually the depositors are across from China, right? Total like 410,000 of them, and they in total their savings are like 40 billion Chinese dollars worth of deposit.
Which is about like $6 billion US.
They have been frozen since 2 months ago, since April. And so averagely speaking, each of them had like 100,000 Chinese dollars per person, right? Being frozen, they cannot they cannot withdraw at all. And yesterday, local time, on Sunday early morning, more than 1,000 depositors across from China gathered in front of the Chinese People's Bank in Zhengzhou, Henan province, demanding their money back. So there are some depositors tried to even hang themselves in front of the bank. And one veteran, there's a recording we will show you later. One veteran said, all of his veteran retirement fee are in the bank account, and he didn't even know that, his money cannot be withdrawn. But after he knew about that, he was saying, I have booked my ticket to go to Zhengzhou, and I will get my money back. Otherwise, I will, he just said, I will get some people go down with me. Okay, basically. So let's, first of all, show like it's interesting. The protesters, they actually gathered in front of the bank early in the morning. And why is that? Because the authorities tried to use the COVID restriction, they call the health QR code, to restrict them from traveling. And we'll show that later. But the protesters gathered in front of the bank early in the morning, as early as like 4 a.m. And they were singing the People's Republic of China anthem. And you may wonder why. Yeah, let's show some, and I will explain to you. Okay, so this anthem, the lyrics is like that. Stand up, people who don't want to be slaves. Build our flesh and the blood into our new Great Wall. The Chinese nation is at its most dangerous moment. Everyone was forced to let out a final roar. Stand up, stand up. We are all united under the fire of the enemy. Stand up. We just go ahead under the fire of the enemy. So, from this lyric, you can understand, right? Those depositors, those protesters, they think, enough is enough. They don't want to be slaved anymore, right? And they are viewing the bank under the CCP control as their enemy. So that's what's going on. So it's very ironic because this anthem was from CCP, right? Yeah. And they basically educating the Chinese people, we are facing those enemy who are trying to, destroy us, so we have to stand up. Now people, those thousands of depositors saying, CCP, you are our enemy, right?
How ironic.
Yeah, how ironic. And then also the protesters were chanting the People's Police. Okay, everything in China, the Chinese government deemed as people's, people's are liberation army, People's Police. But those depositors are chanting, People's Police are gangsters. Let's take a lesson. yeah, they just chanting all along like different slogans. Can we get that? And as those both the police and the plainclothes police just like running and into the place, they are so uniformed, right? Those police and the plainclothes police, and then people are chanting, you are the gangsters, you are the gangland. And also protesters were chanting, Xi Jinping, investigate Henan. Li Keqiang, invest Henan. So, we know who Xi Jinping is. Li Keqiang is the prime minister. So they are like pleading to the central government to investigate this provincial government about the corruption. Yeah. And then very sadly, some of the protesters tried to hang themselves in front of the People's Bank of China in Henan. But, in the video, we cannot show that because of YouTube restrictions. And then, like the whole morning, you can see from the footage, right? The protester was actually basically surrounded by the police and the plainclothes police. Okay. Then at around, reportedly, at around 11 a.m., all of a sudden, the plainclothes policemen suddenly attacked them.
Started
attacking. And you can also see those uniformed police standing behind. Okay. But people already know. They are the police, they are the gangsters, as in their words. See?
Like organized, like a
very organized.
lineup, and just coming in and keep beating people just like that.
Yeah. And
those people are just people who lose their lifelong saving in the bank. They just come here to try to, just voice their complaint.
Yeah.
And they were attacked like this.
And some of, very brutal scenes we cannot show. Okay, there's a restriction, but and you can see, like the plainclothes people, several of them will attack one person, and then just shovel them onto the bus. So, and it was also reportedly that the police refused to send those injured to the hospital. So one of the depositors, who is a woman, was beaten on the bus, and she was so frightened, saying, "They are going to kill us." Yeah, you can see in the video, a lot of people being arrested, shoveled onto the bus. Yeah, and the women was just crying and shouting, "They're gonna kill us! They are trying to kill me." Then, as of 1:30 in the afternoon, everything returned to peace. And the authority just used those sprinklers cars to wash off.
Yeah, clean the blood and return everything to just like nothing has happened.
Yeah.
So typical of China in the last 7 decades.
Yep. And some people just on the scene saying like it's very much like what happened on the Tiananmen Square in June 4th, 1989. And the people even post, the pictures to compare that. And there's one veteran who, his recording was shared around the internet, and he was just so angry and saying that his lifelong savings, including his retirement fees, are all in the bank. So let's take a lesson.
大家如果怕的话，可以跟在我后面。我是一个退伍军人。 我必须要拿回自己的钱。我现在已经买好了票，因为我也是前几天才知道的。之前我也没怎么去看我这个存款，因为我是相信这个银行嘛，相信这个存款保险，就没去管它。然后后来加了群嘛，才知道自己的存款出事儿，已 前我在部队的时候，抗洪抢险，我们都跑到前面。如果大家怕的话，只要是白衣人敢打你，我第一个冲上去弄他。只要我的存款回来不了，我要拿几个垫背的，里面有我不少的退伍费呢。反正大家不用怕，我觉得自己反正是合法的，也没犯法。
Yeah, he was just basically saying, I'm not scared. If you are scared, you just follow me. And he said he has been working so hard, especially when there was flood relief. He and those soldiers were just in the front to trying to help people. And now he found that all of his savings gonna be evaporated. And he said, if I don't get the money back, what's gonna happen, right? So, yeah, that's basically what's happening right now. And it was interesting to see if we show the picture that the people with the banners, and they even show a banner with the English line saying against the corruption and the violence of the Henan government. So I think it's very rare. Yeah, a few things are very rare in this protest. First of all, it's the largest protest since the COVID, right? And the second, we see the English, like a banner in English words, okay? And that says something. It just reminds people what happened in Hong Kong when people were protesting the CCP's policy and the people waving American flags.
They want to send a message to outside of China.
Yeah, and think probably that's the next step. And the other thing is because the depositors have been protesting for 2 months, and initially some people they kneel down in front of the cars of authorities to plead to them, and we have the picture there, right? But after 2 months, they probably realize something, and that they are not kneeling down anymore. They're chanting, right? They try to just to voice out, and they are not kneeling down anymore. So, and the one thing is the authorities try to really use the COVID restrictions, like they use this QR code, because they used that back a month ago in June. Okay, so that actually kind of stopped people from traveling to have those kind of gathering and protesting. And this time again, a lot of people showed they were even not like just being locked down at home for the whole month, but their QR code by Henan is showing it's red. Red meaning you cannot travel. But they have another like a national code saying they have never been exposed to high-risk areas. So it's really contradicting, right? So the only reason for that lady is because she has some deposit in one of those rural banks in Henan. So that's the reason. So, and I think that tells a lot, is that, since the COVID, a lot of people think, for our safety, we should just use those restrictions to be safe. But, look at that. What's happening in an authoritarian regime. Under authoritarian regime, when you submit your freedom, and then they can step up and further restrict you, right? A lot of people cannot even travel and even go to protest just because of, they can use this kind of code and COVID restrictions. So I think that's a lesson to learn for a lot of people. Yeah.
So they just abuse the power that you submit to the government, and every government is just like that. So, the sovereign, the sovereign is with the people. The people. Yeah, that's what our Constitution, U.S. Constitution, gave us.
So, but I think I also saw some discussion that saying why this is happening in Henan right now. The the head of the Henan province is a subordinate of Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping right now is in a very critical situation because of the upcoming
Party Congress,
right?
It's coming
up, and maybe some people try to, find trouble with he and his people to affect his, power. Yeah, but anyhow, whether people, that's my thinking, and whether people trying to just destroy him to support the other party, right? Because within the CCP, there's always a power struggle. But with whichever party, it's after all, it's CCP.
Yeah.
So,
and who got hurt? It's the common people who just deposit their money there, and the government has absolute power over the people. So no matter how much wrong you think you're facing, and that works against you, you really have no ground to get your right back. You just cannot have it because you have no power. Yeah, so this is actually this kind of thing happened time again in the last 8 decades in China. We'll just showcase one thing for you, so that for you to know that under authoritarian regime, what's the life like that? And we just remind ourselves: do we ever want that? If we don't, we gotta wake up today.
Yeah, and even some people think, oh, maybe we just because it's COVID, because it's a war, we should to be safe or to be healthy, we can just sacrifice our freedom a little bit. But this is really a lesson to learn from what's happening in China.
Yep.
So I hope folks, it doesn't matter if you're at the right or the left. Freedom, liberty, is something. If that's something you really treasure, just really pay attention to those type of policy.